Hey guys, it's Cece, and today I'm here to do a book haul. It feels like I just barely did a book haul, but November was a month where I bought a lot of books, and I was sent a bunch of books that were kind of a surprise that I didn't expect to arrive. So I've hit like 14 books, which means for me that it's time to film another book haul. So this is my November book haul. And I think we're gonna go through these in the order that I purchased them today, just for a fun change of pace. So most of the beginning of the stack are all books that I purchased myself. And let's get started. So first, I have 5 books that I purchased from a secondhand bookstore using credits that I had at that bookstore and a bit of my own money. I did not get all 5 of these based on credits. I just couldn't put them back. So first, I have a couple of books I've already read that I just didn't own physical copies of. We have Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe by Fannie, Flagg. This is one of my all-time favorite books ever. This has 2 different storylines, one in the 1980s and then one in the 1930s. And basically, it's about 2 women in the 1980s, and one of them is telling a story to the other. And the story she's telling is of Ruth and Iggy in the 1930s, starting the Whistle Stop Cafe, running it together, and also murder is a factor. This is very subtle queer rep. Ruth and Iggy are queer, confirmed, but at no point in the novel are they like, ah yes, these 2 women are together. Like, that's not a thing that happens, but it's a beautiful, beautiful book that follows a bunch of my favorite tropes. It's one of my favorite female-female romance books. It's just, delightful in every way. So when I saw it, I bought it. The other book I have already read is The Abyss Surrounds Us by Emily Skrutskie. This is the first part of a duology. I've only read the first part. I haven't read the sequel yet, which is The Edge of the Abyss. This is about lesbian pirates and also genetically created sea monsters. So it's set in a future where pirates rule the seas again, and so in retaliation, scientists have created these sea monsters that are trained to protect passenger ships so that if a pirate ship attacks them, then this sea monster will attack back. The main character, Cass, is something called a reckoner in training. So reckoners accompany these beasts on voyages so that they maintain what they need to do. And she's gonna go out on her first mission, and on her first mission, this legendary pirate captain attacks the ship and Cass is taken captive. The series features a slow burn romance between 2 ladies. It's also got pirates and sea monsters and everything that you could ever wish for, and at some point I'll read the second book, but now I own the first one, and that's pretty exciting. I got 3 other books at that bookstore, none of which I have read. So I have Next Year in Havana by Chanel Cleeton. I don't know that much about this book, except that it comes really highly recommended. I know that this is not necessarily historical fiction, but it's about a girl rediscovering her family's history. So it starts in Miami in 2017, and the main character, Marisol, is going back to Havana to spread her grandmother's ashes. And when she gets to Havana, she starts learning secrets about the family. She starts discovering the differences between the Cuba from her grandmother's stories and the Cuba of the current political climate. Like I said, this comes super, super highly recommended. I believe it's also romance, and it just sounds like something that would be very up my alley. So I grabbed it when I saw it at the store. I also grabbed Miss Timmins' School for Girls by Nayana Currimboy. This I talked about recently in my top 20 queer TBR. So I saw this at the store immediately following the filming of that video, and it just enticed me because I just talked about it. It follows a main character named Charu and is set in 1974, and basically this character is on the run from some kind of scandal that happened to her family, and so she winds up going to teach at the at Miss Timmins' School for Girls, which is a school for rich Indian girls. She's sort of settling into place. She's finding herself attracted to one of the other teachers, Moira Prince, and is being introduced to a world of drugs and rock and roll, and then a body is found at the bottom of a cliff near the school, and everyone has to try to investigate, and Charu becomes the center of the investigation. People think that she is the one who committed the murder. So this is a murder mystery, it's historical fiction, and it's queer, which is 8 kinds of up my alley. So I got that one. Hopefully I'll be reading it soon, because it sounds fabulous. And the last book that I got at that secondhand store is The Circle by Sara B. Elfgren and Matt Strandberg. I know a couple of things about this book. I know that it is translated. I know that it is part of a fantasy series, a trilogy right there. It's right on the cover. And I know that it comes super, super highly recommended. I also believe that there are multiple queer characters in this book. Mostly I've just heard about it over and over and over from Nicole of the channel Wolf's Whistle, and I know that a lot of you have been recommending it in comments for a few years now. Like, I constantly am told that I need to read this series. I literally don't know what it's about. From the summary, it seems to be about 6 girls who find out that they are, like, the chosen one. They have specific magical abilities, and they're not friends, but they still bond together to try to learn more about their powers. Literally, I just bought this because of how highly it has come recommended to me by so many people that I trust and so many people who watch my channel. So, we'll have to find out. This is such a chunker. This was on sale for like $5 at the store, and for a hardcover fantasy that is this long, could not resist. Next, I have 2 books that I purchased from a local, like, indie bookstore. I have been going to the King's English for a while, but lately I've been pushing myself to go to that store more often, specifically to buy books, not just to attend events. So I bought these, and I convinced my mom to buy 2 books. I made her buy a copy of Evelyn Hugo so that she could read it, and then she also bought Sourdough, which is a book by Robin Sloan, he wrote Mr. Penumber's 24-Hour Bookstore, which is a book that my mom and I both love, and so I described what Robin Sloan's new book was about, and she bought that and let me borrow it, so I'll be reading that at some point. This is my copy of that book that she let me borrow. It is Sourdough, or Lois and Her Adventures in the Underground Market. It sounds a lot like the fun and joy of Mr. Penumber's 24-Hour Bookstore, which is why I wanted my mom to buy it and why I wanted to borrow it immediately. But as far as books that I bought, I got Annihilation. This is by Jeff VanderMeer and is the first book in the Southern Reach trilogy. Most importantly, number 1, look at this book. Look at this book. Is it not absolutely gorgeous? I had been interested in reading this book after seeing the movie that came out earlier this year, but like when I saw it in the store, I knew I couldn't resist it. What I know about this book is limited to what the movie was about, the Natalie Portman movie, just that there's an area that has been taken over by some kind of force, and there have been various expeditions into this force to try to figure out what it is, and they've all ended in disaster, and so this follows the newest expedition of scientists that are going in to try to figure out what's going on. It's a collective of like 5 female scientists. I don't know how accurate the movie is to the book in terms of representation, but I believe multiple of them are women of color, and I believe there's at least 1 queer woman. This was one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen, but I've been told that the book is extremely different. So after really liking Annihilation but wanting to know more, I decided that I wanted to read the series and find out more what the intention was. Plus this is a really short book, so I keep eyeing it because I want to read it knowing that I can get through it really quickly. Oh, also look at underneath the cover. This book is so beautiful. At the King's English, I also purchased Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado. This is a collection of short stories about women's bodies specifically. Also, I think a lot about like the violence that is enacted on women's bodies. This is supposed to be genre-bending, fascinating, queer as hell, and like gets the best reviews. My intention this year was to get more involved in short story collections that are all by the same author, but that goal kind of got off track after my entire reading year in general got off track, so I picked this up to hopefully maybe go after that goal again more in 2019. The next thing I want to talk about is the last thing I purchased myself for this haul, and it is also something that you probably already know I now own if you watched my Queer Lit readathon TBR, and that is the Legend of Korra comics, Turf Wars Parts 1, 2, and 3. These are written by Michael Dante DiMartino and illustrated by Irene Co, and I am planning on reading them. I should probably have already started them and or finished them by the time that you see this video. Somehow, despite my intense love of Legend of Korra, I never actually set out to purchase these. I didn't think I was going to need my own copies, and then I did. So I recently saw them at the store, and I went out and I bought them because I've really wanted to read all of Turf Wars. I don't know a ton about the plot of these, I just know that they pick up immediately following the conclusion of the Legend of Korra series, which is, Korra and Asami and their specific storyline, so I'm eager to find out what happens. Okay, like I said, from here on out, everything else has been sent to me by subscription boxes or publishers. So first, a total and complete surprise. I got the best gift from HMH Kids. I I cannot believe that these arrived. So this is East by Edith Pattou and the new sequel, West. East was one of my absolute favorite retellings in high school. It is specifically a retelling of East of the Sun, West of the Moon. In case you were curious, it has a lot of similarities to Beauty and the Beast, at least in this version there are a lot of similarities to Beauty and the Beast, but it is officially a retelling of East of the Sun, West of the Moon. So this is about a girl named Rose. Rose has always wanted adventure, she has wanted to see the world, but she's in a really terrible situation, and then one day this white bear appears at her doorstep and promises health and prosperity for Rose's family as long as Rose promises to come and live with him in the castle. So she agrees, she goes and lives with him, but then she makes some kind of like disastrous mistake and has to decide whether or not she's going to go back to her family or whether she's going to try to set out to fix her mistake and repair the life that she has been making for herself. I adored this book in high school and I always wanted my own copy, but for some reason I never got around to purchasing one. Like, this has been on my want to own list on Goodreads for as long as I've had a Goodreads. It's been on my wish list on Amazon for as long as I've had an Amazon wish list. And then one day, without warning, this package arrived on my doorstep. It was the weirdest, most wonderful thing. Even more wonderful was the fact that I had no idea this book was getting a sequel, but apparently it did, and that sequel is entitled West, and it was released in October of 2018. I don't remember enough about the end of East to really want to read the back of this. I think I want to reread East before I read West, but, like, I am so excited about the series and the fact that I own them both. It was such a delight. I don't even really work with HMH that often, so it was even weirder when these both showed up. It was honest to God the weirdest thing. But so happy to have these both now. I do also have a couple of books from subscription boxes. So we have Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha and Ngan. I have talked about this in numerous recent videos. It is about Asian Sapphic girls escaping a demon king's palace. That is what it's about. This is the Owlcrate exclusive edition with the gold lettering on the front. This is also signed. So if we go in here, there's the signature. It's in there. But I was really excited to receive this in Owlcrate. I am also reading this during the week of the Queer Lit Readathon, so you probably already know about its existence. I also recently opened the uppercase, like the November uppercase box, and that came with a book, The Assassin's Guide to Love and Treason by Virginia Boecker. This is historical fiction, and it is about Shakespeare, which is all I frankly need to know. This one is also signed right there. A bit more about what this is about. It's about a girl, and her father dies. After his death, she discovers, what's her name? Lady Catherine. So after her father dies, she discovers that he was part of a plot to murder Queen Elizabeth I. So she sets out on a journey to make sure that that actually happens. So she sets out and she finds out that Shakespeare's newest play is going to be performed in front of the Queen, so she has to get a role in it. So she does, but she is cast opposite a guy named Toby, who is secretly a spy for Queen Elizabeth. So, I mean, like, it's all in the title, and Assassin's Guide to Love and Treason is a great title. It perfectly encapsulates what this book is going to be about. It's just that it also includes Shakespeare, and I love Shakespeare. I will read anything that is to do with Shakespeare, so I was really excited when this came in uppercase, because I'd had my eye on it, and I wasn't sure if I was going to buy it, and now it's mine. And the last two books were both surprise books from Source Books. They sent a box to my old address, so who knows how long it's been there. My old neighbors got it to my mom, who got it to me. So yeah, I have no idea when these arrived, but they're both really exciting books. So I have a 2019 release, and I actually don't know what this other one is. It's 2018? A 2018 release. That's what this is. So the 2018 release is The Dark Beneath the Ice by Amelina. Oh wow, hold on. I'm gonna go with Amelina Bayrabe. That's what I'm gonna go with. So I don't fully know what this book is about. It's on my list to read, or it has been on my list to read, because I believe it has a queer main character. It is a YA thriller. YA thrillers aren't really my thing, but this also has horror elements, which brings it more into my range. I don't like YA thrillers, but as long as there are horror elements, then I'm more inclined to read that. I think that this has to do with exorcisms. It's about a girl's life who is in the middle of an upheaval, and it's about the fact that she's losing time, she's experiencing weird things, and the only person who believes her is the daughter of a local psychic, which, like, some hardcore Blue Sergeant vibes there, though I doubt this is gonna have Raven Cycle vibes. It just reminds me of Blue Sergeant. But this has been on my TBR for a while, so it was really fun when it just showed up in a random box that had to come through many people to get to my doorstep. And the last book that I'm gonna talk about that also came in that box is The Last 8 by Laura Pohl. This is a 2019 release. It's being released in March. Yeah, it is being released in March, and it follows a girl named Clover Martinez. Clover considers herself a survivor, and she thinks that she's kind of the only human left alive after aliens invade, and then she picks up a radio signal coming from Area 51. She goes to the former Area 51, and she finds a bunch of other, like, misfit teens there who consider themselves the last teenagers on Earth. The other thing I know about this is I know that Clover's a pilot. I also know that she is Latina, and she is aromantic and bisexual. So that is the rep there. This is one that I was really interested in for 2019, and I'm glad that I'm going to get the chance to read it, because it's not my usual thing at all, in that it's about aliens, and I don't really read a lot of alien books, but, like, it's got a hella queer main character who's also Latina, and I'm just really interested. So this is another one where it arrived on my doorstep, and I was like, I didn't request this. I wasn't seeking it out actively, but I knew I wanted it, and somehow it's here, and that's weird, but good. Those are all of the books that I'm going to talk about today. That is my full book haul. What do you think of the new books that I have accumulated, whether I purchased them or they were sent to me? What was your favorite that I have received? If you have read any of these books already, let me know what you thought of them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!